The Holden versus Ford battle remains well and truly alive. The Kumho Tyres Australian V8 Touring Car Series remains a bastion for the traditional Aussie motorsport rivalry between red and blue, between Ford and Holden, and this year it's taken another step forward. Draws alongside at Gardner Straight.
Big look down the inside.
Oh, contact! And Evangelou's sent round.
Oh,
bang!
Oh, what a big hit that was.
While some cars look new and some sport a traditional look that makes you remember the V8 days of old, there's one constant across the field: close and competitive racing. And Josh Hunter is being swamped by the field. And you'll see it all here at round one of the Kumho Tyres Australian V8 Touring Car Series at Sydney Motorsport Park. Race 3 of the Kumho Tyres Australian V8 Touring Car Series here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Cars moving away for their formation lap. It has been an exciting weekend so far. Richard Crowe, Aaron Noonan with you today in the commentary box, and some great racing in store as a record field sets underway for their formation lap of what should be the pick of the three races so far this weekend. Noons, if everything's built up to the climax we think it has.
Oh, absolutely, Rich. And the best part about this race is combined points from the first two determine the grid. So if you had a bad one in race 2, but a good one in race 1, it's not all bad. There's still a chance. Full field lining up, combined points from the first 2 races. Justin Geary, though, he's the man to beat. He starts from pole. He's
been in amazing form, and it's not just the raw speed, but consistency in race 2 as well was impressive to watch. And he's on pole. Morgan Haber alongside. Geary just gets into position, slight roll before the start. They're underway. Good start from Waihoon from the second row. Shay Davies follows him through, but Assailant sweeps around the outside. He's done a Policina and dices with Waihoon through 1, but Terry Waihoon will lead them up to turn 2 for the first time. Everyone through cleanly, but a wild start. A couple of guys going forward in a big way.
It's been the weekend of gun starts. We saw Jim Policina in race 1 do it. Justin Geary, though, goes back the other way as we get through turn 2. We jump on board with Policina, runner-up in the series last year, has had drama and grief in both of the races so far. He's desperate just to put a couple of points in the bank, but out front, Terry Waihoon up and running.
Policina just sliding around on cold Kumhos, but he'll try and work his way forward in car 7. Assailant, strong start. Davies, a strong start. He'll be one to watch. He's been a little frustrated this weekend, but has had so much speed and qualified on pole on Saturday. As the back of this field sort themselves out, Chris Delsma dicing there with Policina down the inside, Vagotis in behind. And Josh Keane, the young saloon car racer from last year from South Australia, working his way forward in that team dynamic. Jason Richards, Commodore.
It's a busy opening lap in this final race of the weekend. I've got a feeling action stations are on in this one, Rich, because everyone's fired up. There's been a bit of drama in the first 2 races, a little bit of contact, but Terry Waihoon, the Lubramax Falcon, the ex-Stone Brothers car, was slow earlier in the weekend. Really uncharacteristic form from Terry. It's hooked up now. It's driving away from the field. Nathan Assailant doing great. He's up to second, and you see that black 00 car, Matt Charter there. That's the ex-Colour Scan car that Rodney Forbes drove. It was the Milk Falcon many a year ago.
Now, Justin Geary, first, we talked about cars moving forward. He's gone from 1st to 7th or 8th position at the end of this opening lap. So he's a long way down the field, and remember, he needs to drive for points to try and seal that round win away. So he's sort of thinking of different things as Davies goes down the inside of Haber. Typical textbook Sydney Motorsport Park pass, and Evangelou's with a massive moment. Back of shot, and he's gone round.
Now, I wouldn't mind betting he didn't DIY that one. I think there may have been just a little bit of assistance. Look out here, Lyle Kearns goes to the outside. I think Justin Geary may have been involved in that contact or that incident down there at turn 2, but regardless, it's Waihoon, Assailant, Shay Davies moving forward, Haber next in the queue, and Geary just needs to stay out of drama. If he stays where he is, he'll still win the round. Talking about getting it together, Shay Davies, rookie on debut in the Kumho Series, has the big look at turn 1.
You just wince when they go down there like that, because we saw the incident in race 2 between Morgan Haber and Tony Evangelou, and often doesn't end particularly well overtaking at turn 1. Such a fast, full commitment corner. Shame for Charter. Saw his family standing on top of the pit building down at turn 1 as we were walking our way up to get ready for this race, as Evangelou works his way past. So he's charging his way forward. But the whole family contingent here for Charter this weekend. He did good things in Formula Ford last year. He's a good young kid. They're doing it on a very tight budget as a couple of youngsters go side by side. Ford and Holden, Day and Keane. Josh Keane emerged onto the landscape last year, Noons, in saloon car racing, and on a couple of occasions beat the champion in that series, Simon Tabernoy. And if you do that, you're doing good things, and has stepped up into the Kumho V8 series this year.
A couple of young South Australians, of course, home track for them for round 2 at Sydney Motorsport Park. But this is getting willing. Davies down the inside on a sail, a little bit of a lock-up, a little bit of a slide, gets the move done, so he's charging back. Remember, he qualified on pole at the beginning of the weekend, pit lane penalty in race 1, and ended up finishing back in 16th. He got to 4th in race 2. He's a chance here to get to the lead in race 3, and if Geary drops back, he could still claim the round.
It's just brewing, isn't it? It's brewing, and Geary closing in. He's got to play a game in this race, Justin Geary. He cannot get involved too much in this. The racer in him will want positions, will want more points, but he's got to think about the round result and just bring home the points he needs. Here's Haber on a sail at turn 1. Seen this before, grabs the brake, but not quite close enough. The sailor's just lost a bit of track position, and this will open things up at turn 2. He's not quite close enough this time round. Morgan Haber, who has been fast and feisty all weekend long. Having said that, a sailor very wide at 2, and they will go side by side through turn 3. Sailor's doing a good job of hanging on, and this is just dropping them off that leading trio ever so slightly.
There's no doubt Haber's been fast. Last year he was quick. He took a range of pole positions, but he was a little bit reckless. But he's still young. He's still learning. He's aggressive. There's no problem in having to speed him up. You've got to slow him down a little bit. He's just starting to get a little bit impatient here. Geary is going with them. Top 2 are getting away from them here. Looks like Haber's down the inside, but he's locked the rears. Takes out a sailor. Geary gets 2 free spots, and the 2 Queenslanders are out in the dirt.
2 deep under brakes, rear brakes locked up, lost driving control, and made contact with a sailor. Ends a strong run for a sailor. He's dropping back just past by Briffa, who's working his way forward. That was an unfortunate incident, but it shows how tough it is at the top.
I didn't think anyone would take the window out by hitting him literally, but just about
They
did.
were listening to. They're going to come after you after this race. So Briffa has made a little bit more ground, continues to chip away the bottom half of the top 5. Here's another look. And you'd think just a little bit too hot into turn 6, which they've reprofiled, remember, in recent years.
Stone Brothers built car leading the way. Ford Performance Racing car running 2nd. Justin Geary, watchful brief in 3rd. The ex-Jason Bright, Brytech Fujitsu Falcon. All of these cars with great history, but being driven really, really hard. The racing's been top-notch this weekend. Anyone who thought the Kumho Series was a bit of a turn up and cruise and grab a trophy, wrong.
And the thing that's got me about this race, Nerds, in particular, is the pressure that's been on the front. And it's something you pick up in the main game and even the development series, is that just relentless pressure. And sometimes we haven't quite had that in this series. We do now. It is on at the front, and they are just continuing to drive at a really high level and applying pressure, like Shay Davies is doing now, to the back of Terry Waihoon. Justin Geary, in a round-winning position, sits back in 3rd place. Fords 1, 2 and 3. Where's the nearest Holden? Long way down the road. I think we might have to go all the way back to Briffa to get to the top GM product. So, well, here's a couple of them anyway, dicing for track position. Matt Hansen in the thick of the action there in the XHRT Commodore. And a big lock up from Vagotis. And that beautifully restored Aussie mail forward.
And Hansen a bit further back in the pack. He may have had a spin to put him back that far, but great to see here. 3 cars in livery. HRT, Team Dynamic, and Brad Jones Racing Aussie Mail. John Vagotis has done a fantastic job on this car. It actually was the white Brad Jones car back in the day, but he thought that the black of John Bowe looked better, so he's gone for that livery for this year. It's great to have him back. That car looks absolutely a treat. He's still learning his way. They only just got it ready to come here. He comes from Katoomba, so he's very much a New South Welshman, but he's been an important part of this series over the years. He was here when it started. He's back in 2013, but Josh Keane is at the other end of the spectrum. First weekend in, learning the ropes and having a little bit of a drama running wide.
And this car did a one-off appearance last year as well, as we see a change for the lead. Davies muscles his way down the inside. Too hot though, runs wide. Geary goes to 2nd. And Davies back to 3rd. Waihoon holds on. So this is great racing for the lead, and the man in the best position to win the round gets another position. And this is what we spoke about a few laps ago, Noons, was all Geary's got to do, just keep track position, and everyone else falls off around him.
He hasn't done a thing to get any of these spots. The others have all had some form of drama, and next thing he knows, he's on the back of Terry Waihoon and staring at a third straight race win if he can get by. Replay the move. Davies is in the gap. Waihoon tries to cover, but Shea's in too deep. Doesn't run it all the way off the road, and importantly, doesn't lock a right front tyre. Look at him go down the inside. The rear starts to step out, hangs onto it, lives to find another day, and that's Lyle Kearns. The Queenslander's had a spin at the hairpin, and he's stranded on the exit. And from our commentary point, he's still sitting there. He's struggling to get that car going. So if he doesn't get going shortly, we might see a safety car.
And there we do. It's been called. So safety car on the racetrack. That is the reason. And they put this new concrete runoff there on the exit of the hairpin for this very reason, to try and avoid this very reason. In fact, there was a gravel trap there, and they were hoping that concrete on the outside, they'd be able to recover cars quickly. But we are under caution. The safety car is out, and it bunches the field up. And if Terry Waihoon had to deal with suppression before, boys, he got some now, because instead of 3 cars, he's got Chris Smurden and Jim Policina and just about everyone else. Here's Briffa. Big moment. This is up at turn 11.
And no one within sight when he went around, so it's another DIY. He's done it all himself. We're set to go back to green flag conditions. Terry Waihoon leads us back to the control line. It's a 2-lap sprint to the checkered flag. And Rich, a guy who this is great news for is Tony Evangelou in the Cat Falcon. He's further back in the pack, but this closes him up. He's got a chance to grab a few spots back after that contact he had down here at turn 2.
Well, I think it brings a couple of guys back into the game that weren't in it before. One of them's Jim Policina, who's been fast but unlucky. Chris Smurden's looked pretty good. Briffa, despite the spin we saw before, has had plenty of car speed. So all of a sudden there's a group of 6 or 7 cars that weren't in contention that now are. They can fight for a podium.
2 words spring to mind here, Rich. Game on. This is going to be great for the run.
I was going to say good series, but
well,
hey, it works.
Same thing. Look at this. Geary is in the perfect position, though, to win the round. He doesn't need to win the race. He doesn't need to do anything silly. Haber's got pace. He's 4th in the game here. Smurden next. Jim Policina there, but at the front, this is not done with yet. Waihoon has looked a little vulnerable for pace in the last few laps before the safety car. Let's see how they get running at cold tyre temperature and pressure and see who's strongest, because they've only got, well, basically now
Davies.
a lap and a half to go as Davies backs it in at the hairpin. Waihoon sideways on the exit. It's go time now.
They're all sliding around. I was going to say Davies and Haber are the X factors for me in this, because they're the 2 wild ones so far this weekend. They've been the ones making the move, so they're going to be the ones to watch. Up to turn 12, Geary. Waihoon very, very wide. Justin Geary might try and get himself another race win. Down the straight they go. This is on. This is well and truly on, and a couple of Fords leading the way. They've been dominant this weekend. Watch for Geary, just tucking into the toe of Terry Waihoon.
And look for Davies too. Look for Haber. Young guns using the Kumho series to prove what they can do. Last lap at Sydney Motorsport Park. Geary, he's not going to play it smart. Geary's close. He's nearly in the gap. He rattles the back bumper of the Lubrimax Falcon. Davies fills the gap and jumps to 2nd. Oh, this is willing.
Not over. It's not over yet, and they're side by side out of turn 3. Geary back to 3rd place. Needs to be careful. He's got a round win to look after, and all of a sudden, Shea Davies in the game for a race victory. Down the inside of Waihoon. They'll go side by side through turn 4. This has come alive in the final lap.
I don't see a winner here. I only see losers. Now Waihoon locks it up. Davies is back down the inside to the race lead. Waihoon trying to get back
Haber.
onto the road. Haber down the inside. 3 wide. He's locked it up. Contact between all 3.
Gets into Geary, and they all run wide. And Chris Smurden drives through. Jim Policina drives through. Wild stuff down at turn 6. Second time in this race that Morgan Haber's gone in and locked the rears. And Policina finds himself fighting for a podium. Here's Briffa down the inside of Waihoon.
Look at this. Muscles down the inside. Last lap, it's on. He runs him out of road.
And Briffa gets a position and a thank you return serve from Policina behind as well. Waihoon's got massive issues. Hansen in there too. This fight is on. Not over yet either.
No, Geary's got massive drama. He's got damage. He's limping to the line back in the pack.
Oh, Jim.
Oh, Waihoon into the side of Policina.
That was wild stuff, and Policina goes, what's going on? All we know is Shea Davies will get the race win. What a final lap at Sydney Motorsport Park. Smurden 2nd and Briffa 3rd. How did Steve Briffa finish 3rd?
There's Geary. He's limped it to the line. Damage to the left front.
He won't get the round win with those points. He will not get the round win at this stage. And this will get messy. Cam McConville, we've talked about how busy he's been. He has got some work to do after that one, Noons.
Wow, that's all I've got to say about that. What a way to finish. round one of the series at Sydney Motorsport Park. Shay Davies wins his first Kumho Series race. Smurden second from the clouds. Waihoon fourth. The Goddess Knight, Geary, is moved up to 10th.
We have more to come after the break as the SRO Esport GT Series heads to Barcelona's Circuit de Catalunya for round 4.